Well, I'm back with my old friend Lidia Bastianich, and we're at the Fancy Food Show in Washington this year because the Javits Center is being rebuilt in New York. So, Lydia, I think we'll talk a bit in Italian, a bit in English, just for the heck of it, because by now all of our listeners know both languages, right? È vero?
Sì, credo di sì, eh? Come vuoi, any way you want it. We can do different sentences.
Due lingue,
different
both
effects.
languages.
Sì, come no?
This way, we not only learn how to cook, but how to speak Italian today. So, cosa stai facendo? What are you making?
Guarda, sono qui e sto dando degli assaggi della mia pasta e della mia salsa, Lidia's sauce.
You're giving tastes?
Taste because it's a food, it's fancy food.
Okay.
People want to experience. Possible buyers, possible stores want to carry it, and you can't sell unless you give the taste.
So, this means that we can have Lydia at home. Is that what you're telling me?
You see, that's exactly what I'm telling you, because Lydia is in the restaurant. You can have me, or in the books or the television, but for those moments when you can't cook at home or something, you can taste Lydia at home. And I must say, that I'm very conscientious about my food. Everything is natural. Conscientious about the oils, the fats, the salts. The pasta is very high in gluten, and you will taste it because I know you have a very discriminating palate. You will tell me the pasta is high in gluten, so it's that nutty flavor. So I think that we have all the great basic elements of a good pasta and sauce.
Well, I'm anti-discrimination in all things except the palate, because the palate has to discern, let's say that. Cioè, dobbiamo usare il palato, il gusto, il naso, la bocca, la lingua, tutto, per non solo controllare, ma ammirare le squisitezze.
Sì, ma tu sai che anche il cibo is a social connector. Quando ti siedi a una bella tavola con degli amici, con della famiglia, con un bel bicchiere di vino, non c'è niente meglio nella vita. E un bel piatto di pasta sul tavolo italiano esiste sempre.
Now, what people don't know is that when people who love Italy get together, whether they're Italians or from other countries, we go back and forth from Italian into English. It's very natural. If something sounds better in Italian, we say it in Italian. If something sounds better in English, we say it in English. So if I say che bel profumo, what a beautiful fragrance, it works in both. So that means, can I try a little now?
Absolutely. but I want to introduce also my son-in-law.
Yes.
Corrado Manuali. And Corrado, you're going to bring us some boxes of pasta so I can show him in a few minutes. But Corrado Manuali, who's a Roman, he's married to Tanya. You know Tanya?
I know Tanya.
Oh, okay. And he's sort of spearheading all of this. Yeah, she's an art historian.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I am going to do this, and you're going to do this, and I'm going to hold the mic.
You're going to hold the mic.
And I'm going to interview you. And I'm going to interview you.
Now, watch how it works.
Oh.
You know, but sometimes. So you only take one piece. You really stab it well.
I
I take one. I want to really savor it. Smell it briefly. You go wild from the fragrance. And you lose it because you're already panicking from the anticipation. Because what's happening here, we have beautiful fresh tomato. We have a hint of garlic. We have very nice oil. I'm not reading, by the way. I don't know if there's salt. If there is, there's just a touch, because sometimes salt is too much. I think maybe the salt is in the cooking water of the pasta.
It is, because I'm very conscious of the salt in
Right.
the sauce.
It's really not salty. A lot of times you
But
run
isn't
into...
it fresh? Because all the ingredients are fresh.
Yeah.
It's, there's no dry ingredients. There's no sugar in there.
Right.
Everything, the carrots, the onions, the garlic, everything, the tomatoes, everything is fresh.
By the way, why is it, I know you wrote an Italian-American cookbook, that many Americans think you're supposed to add sugar to tomato sauce?
Well, because because of the tomatoes, the tomatoes that are used here in America, the salad tomatoes, have a lot of pits and a lot of juice, so they're acidic, and the pits render it bitter.
Hold your mic close to
Yeah.
you.
So the American tomatoes, round, full of juice, lots of pits. Juice is acidic, and hence when they make the sauce out of it, versus the San Marzano or the nice plum tomato, which have a lot of pulp very few seeds, and they're not acidic. So in Italy, they don't use at all. But you know, if you do need to, then I always tell them a touch of honey, natural honey.
Honey. Really? At what point do you add the honey?
At the very end. You don't want to cook the honey.
Stir it in.
Yeah, you stir it in, you give it one boil. And you see what we do in our sauces also is that I make a pesto, a fresh, beautiful pesto.
Yep.
And, you know, I studied the process of cooking I studied the process of cooking in a big format. And I added, of course, the basil in the beginning and the garlic, but then towards the end, just before it gets kind of packed, it goes through a temperature hike, so for any bacteria, and I add I add it at that moment. It's the freshness that you're tasting there.
Got it. Now, this is a serious question because you know me and I'm very investigative. This is a serious question. This is a serious question, and you know me, I'm very investigative. If you say add honey at the end when making pasta sauce, my first question would not be, that sounds silly, because it does not. My question would be, which honey, because all honeys have different flavors and fragrances.
You're going into the usual Fred Plotkin kind of, you go for all the details.
Yeah.
But I would say, you know, whatever you have at home, and it will somewhat permeate.
All right.
You know, I'm very straightforward. Whatever honey you prefer, it's fine. And you know, and not even a lot. This is just if it is a little acidic.
Right.
I don't fully endorse in making the sauce sweet at all. You know, let it be natural.
Well, you know, now when I go home to my New York kitchen, I'm going to get 10 different kinds of honey, such as clover honey and tupelo and eucalyptus and millefiori, 1,000 flowers, and who knows what else, and try them with the same tomatoes. And I'm going to get some of your sauce and then try them with tomatoes and do all these combinations, and I'll let you know what I find.
Let me know, please.
Very good.
Okay.
So, Lidia, complimenti as always. You know, you were saying we can have Lidia at home, Lidia in the kitchen, Lidia in almost every room of the house. But I always used to think that they cloned you, and there were 8 of you, one in Kansas City, one in Pittsburgh, one in New York, one in Italy, one in England. And yet it's you everywhere. But everything you sample, everything you produce has quality, and that's what I love. And I wouldn't say this because people know me. I wouldn't say it if I really didn't mean it.
I appreciate that, because coming from you, I know it has to be true, because otherwise you don't say it. And as far as it's all about the team. I have a great team. I work with them. I kind of indoctrinate them in my philosophy, and then let them express themselves. And so, yes, Lidia is really committed to quality, and it's through a great team that we achieve that.
Lidia and I go to the opera whenever we can. And she knows when people come up to me, because that's my world, and say, Fred, what do you think of tonight's performance? Let's say it's La Traviata. I always say, I love La Traviata, which is a way of saying that today's performance maybe not, but I love La Traviata. But with Lidia, I never have to say, I love Italian food. I love Lidia's food, and I'm always happy to taste it.
Grazie.
Grazie a te.